What's going on YouTube? In this tutorial we're going to be taking a look at replacing the glass on a Galaxy S4. As you can see here, my Galaxy S4 is pretty smashed up and I'm going to be using a screen replacement kit from EcoFused. So let's go ahead and take a look at what's in the kit to begin with. So in the box we have a cleaning cloth, which we'll be using later on in the video. We have the tools, which I'll cover a little more in depth shortly. And then we have the glass itself, which we'll be replacing the broken glass with. So the tools that we have include a pair of tweezers. These are going to be very useful when cleaning off the glass, as well as removing the old residue and tape around the sensors and when putting the new tape on the phone. We also have a little suction cup, which I ended up not using, and if you watch the video on EcoFuse's website, they use it on a non-broken screen. Since my screen was broken, I ended up not being able to use it at all. Next up we have these two little blue pry tools, and these were very useful, as you'll see when I actually start going through the process of taking off the screen. We have a little ring that's to attach to the suction cup. Again, I didn't use that at all, but that does come in the box for you to use. We also have three little screwdrivers that come in the kit. These are useful if you're actually replacing the whole screen itself. In this case, just the glass was broken on my device. So again, I did not use these. We have some wire that is used to remove the screen. Again, this did not work for me since my glass was broken. The glass ended up actually cutting the wire, so I didn't get much use out of that. These little guitar picks that you see me putting down, those are actually really useful in taking off the glass. So you'll see that again in the next portion coming up shortly. And then these other rings are to attach the wire to, which I couldn't even get the wire attached to them, but it didn't matter because the wire got cut anyways by the broken screen. And then finally, you'll see we have the tape itself, which is going to hold the screen, which is going to hold the glass onto the screen itself. So these are all the pieces that come in the specific kit that I ordered. But again, as I said, you'll see I really only use the pry bars, the picks, and the tweezers. Now the first step in fixing or replacing the glass is to place some tape over the broken glass. If you already have a screen protector on your phone, you can skip this step. This is basically to keep the screen, or the glass, I'm sorry, from flying everywhere. And at one point in the video I ended up having to replace the tape just because the screen was broken so much that it ended up just taking all the adhesive off the tape, and I had to replace it. So this is more of a safety thing, as well as just keep things clean. Again, if you have a screen protector already on your phone, you might not need to do this step. I didn't have a screen protector, so that's why I'm going through the trouble of doing this. One of the other things that was not mentioned in the instructions or shown in their video, which I would recommend, is wearing eye protection as well as gloves if possible. I had to be really careful because as I was prying the screen off, little shards of glass were kind of coming off, and I had to keep stopping the video to clean off my desk and to basically just keep the workspace clean and safe, because I didn't want to cut myself. And then I was wearing safety glasses as well when I recorded this, just in the event that any little pieces of glass flew up out of the phone and into my eyes. So definitely something to keep in mind, and something I recommend doing as well. So once you got the tape on there, make sure to trim it so that there's not much sticking off the sides, because again, you're going to be replacing this glass, so you'll want to have to get under there to actually remove the glass itself. So this next part is actually involves heating up the phone itself with either a heat gun or a blow dryer. This is a very time-consuming process. The glass is held onto the screen with a lot of adhesive, and it just makes it a pain. You see the phone kind of slides around a little bit there because I did remove the battery, and without the battery this phone is really light, and so just something to keep in mind. You might want something to hold the phone down so you can blow dry it. You don't want to blow dry it for too long or use a heat gun on it too long, because you could actually damage the LCD or the digitizer itself. So just do this a few seconds at a time. And this part of the video is sped up because this process in total ended up taking almost an hour. And I don't think you wanted to watch just an hour of me slowly, jamming these little guitar picks in between the glass and the screen. So I sped this up, but again, just have a lot of patience when you're doing this. As I said, heat up the phone in small increments, and if getting the pry bar under there or using the guitar picks gets too difficult, stop, heat it up, and then start again. And it just takes a long time. You'll see kind of half the glass is missing. It ended up just cutting through the tape and breaking off, so I had to stop and kind of took that opportunity to clean some of the glass off a little bit, but there's still a lot of glass on there. And then just keep working the guitar picks through there. And like I said, I would recommend wearing some gloves and maybe some safety glasses just to keep yourself from getting cut or having anything, cut your eyeballs. Luckily, I did not cut my fingers and I was wearing glasses, so just something to keep in mind. So when you get to the bottom of the screen, slow down and don't actually just pull the glass off. This is normal speed again because I wanted to show this with detail. You see with the tweezers, I'm just slowly removing the final pieces of adhesive and the glass from the phone itself. And the reason you want to do this with care is because the adhesive might actually tear the buttons off. That's one of the warnings in the instructions that come with the kit. And so once I got to the bottom, I did go slowly. And the kit recommends starting from the top and working your way down, so that you can get to the buttons from the inside and kind of see what's going on with the adhesive and the glass and all that. So again, just patience is the key with this whole process. You have to be really patient. The whole process in total took a little over an hour. The longest part being getting this stupid glass off of the phone itself. You can see the button kind of moving around a little bit there. So just be really careful with it and take your time, be really patient, and eventually the glass will come off and you'll be left with just the phone itself, and then you'll have just cleanup to do. So that's basically what I'm showing here, is just getting the final pieces of the glass and adhesive off. So once the glass is off completely, I zoom in the camera a little here so you can see the sensors at the top of the phone. We have the proximity sensors as well as the front-facing camera. So you want to make sure to definitely clean those up. Make sure you get all the glass out from around those, as well as the adhesive, because those are going to be, instrumental in the functionality of your phone. So make sure you clean this area really well and that you're very careful with it. Don't scratch up the sensors, don't scratch up the camera lens, and make sure you get all that adhesive and little pieces of glass out of there as well. Once all the pieces of glass are off the phone, you want to clean the remaining adhesive off with an alcohol-based cleaner and the little cloth that they included. This again is a little time consuming and does require some patience, but you want this as clean as possible, because once the screen is covered with the glass, you're not going to be able to clean this again. So I'll show at the end what my phone ended up looking like. I did a pretty good job. There was maybe a smudge that I didn't get to, but for the most part I got it clean. So again, just have patience and get this as clean as possible, and make sure you clean all the glass off so that you don't scratch it up. So next is adding the tape around the edges of the phone. I fast forwarded this because there's nothing really to this. Basically just get it around the edges and do it in strips. Don't try to use one big piece. Do it in pieces and use the tweezers to help guide the tape, and make sure you get it along the edges. There is a little guide that comes with the kit that shows you where you want to put the tape. So just follow that guide and just be patient again. Like I said, patience is the key with this. Just use the tweezers to make sure the tape is right. If it's not right, you've got a pretty good roll of tape that comes with the kit. Go ahead and do it again. Don't try to force a piece of tape that's all gunked up in there and in the right place. And then again, just mind the sensors and the buttons and make sure that you don't cover those with the tape itself. So once the tape is on, I went through a second round of cleaning the screen itself. Again, once the glass is on, you are not going to be able to clean the screen. So you definitely want to make sure this is as clean as possible. And when you're wiping it, make sure there's not any little pieces of glass or anything on there, because that will scratch the screen. Again, at the end, I'll show some parts where the screen was scratched already from just the initial drop that broke the screen. Ended up scratching some of the pieces of the screen itself. So again, just make sure it's very clean before you put that glass back on. Once you're satisfied with the cleanliness of the screen on your phone, it's time to put the glass on. It's wrapped in a pretty tight seal, so I ended up having to cut the adhesive plastic off, and you want to try to not touch the inside of this. Again, that's going to go on the inside of your phone, and once that's in there, you're not going to be able to clean it. So just be careful with where you touch it once you remove the protective adhesive, and make sure you don't get any fingerprints on it, because I wouldn't want to have to replace this to clean the screen. So just be careful with it, and as with every other step, just be patient. So once the glass is back on the phone, all that's left to do is put the battery back in, replace the back cover, and power it on and see if everything comes on. And if you were very careful and patient, everything should come back on. We'll see here. I'm going to power the phone on and verify that it does turn on. Okay, so now that the phone's actually on, I went ahead and put a case on it, just so that in case I drop it, it hopefully doesn't get smashed to pieces again. This is a Neo hybrid case by Spigen, and they make some of the slickest cases, I think, for Android phones. I did a video on these previously, and actually did a giveaway on these. So I'll put a link to that video in the description as well, in case you want to check that out. But here's the phone. Let me just go ahead and open up the app drawer. You can see the touchscreen does work, and it is functioning. The buttons work as well. So there you go. It's working. It is functioning the way it should be. So I'm going to go ahead and zoom in now so you can see those blemishes, if you want to call them, that I was talking about just a little better, hopefully. So here is the smudge that I was talking about that I didn't really get too well. I didn't really notice it when I was cleaning the phone, but it is there, and you can see it when I move the screen around. Up here there is a scratch. That scratch was from when I dropped it. The glass basically just dug into the LCD screen and carved a little notch out. So unfortunately nothing I could do there. And then at the bottom you can kind of see it. See, these wavy lines will go away. There's another little scratch right there at the bottom, and kind of a little line where the pixels are dead, I guess you want to call that. So overall, not too bad. In my opinion, it's definitely good enough to use, and they're only really noticeable on all white backgrounds, which not too many apps use all white backgrounds. You see on the home screen, it looks pretty good, and you can't really tell, you know, where those blemishes are. So overall, pretty happy with the end result. I'll put links to the kit in the description down below, as well as that video of the cases that I have on my phone right now. Again, this was a really long and really arduous process, but you know, just be patient with it. Like I said, it took me over an hour to complete this, but I would recommend definitely trying this out yourself if your glass is broken but your digitizer is still good. What that means is, if you shattered the glass on your screen but you can actually still use the screen and none of the actual display is bleeding or looks discolored, just the glass is broken, then this is definitely a better alternative than taking it somewhere that's going to charge you $50, $80, $100 to replace it, or going through your insurance, which is going to charge you $150 or $200, or even having to buy a new phone, which those can be $300 to $600. So again, I hope this video is useful, and if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more videos like this in the future, make sure to hit that subscribe button. If you have any questions, comments, or suggestions for me, you can find me on Facebook, Twitter, Google+, and Instagram. So until next time, good luck replacing the screen on your device, and take care.